From applying duct tape on their keyboards to using a strange looking but effective sprinting technique, here are 10 advantages Fortnite Pros kept secret. Starting off with aim assist on mouse and keyboard. Back in 2019, for a brief moment in time, this was actually possible. To get it, you need to plug both your mouse and controller into your PC, then disable the use legacy look controls, set your dead zone to the lowest values on both thumbsticks, then finally make your controller get stick drift. By playing with the thumbstick slightly, this would then enable aim assist on mouse and keyboard, which allowed you to combine the power of mouse aiming with the overpoweredness of controller aim assist, resulting in some very easy eliminations. Unlike the crouch sprint technique secret that prevented you from getting eliminated easily, as with this incredibly strange looking movement technique, you could stop enemies from getting an easy sniper shot on you, because as you can see, being able to land a sniper shot on a moving target like this in this fashion would be very difficult. And to do this, it was really simple. All you need to do is equip a weapon of any kind, as well as equip a bow. Then you'd simply jump and then switch between the two weapons very quickly. That's the shotgun and the bow. This would result in the weirdest looking movement I've ever seen, but it would serve a pretty smart purpose in keeping you alive. Another secret that served a pretty smart purpose was the base boost windows trick, which both Mongrel and Metro made very popular a few years ago. If you didn't know about this already, by going into the sound settings in Windows, then clicking on the sound control panel, then on enhancements, if you take the bass boost setting and set the boost to the highest level, after doing all of that right there, you will have bass boosted audio, which makes your Fortnite audio go from sounding like this to sounding like this. And as you heard right there, guys, it can actually give you a huge advantage. And as well as that, gun sounds sound way better. You can now understand why the bass boost audio trick became so popular. What didn't become so popular though at first was the Starwars Pickaxe, until the overpowered feature of it got leaked. Since it first released in the item shop, it seemed like nobody was using it for a few months, until a small number of Fortnite pros found out it had a huge secret.
No.
Oh, you're completely silent.
Wait, now you run around.
Yeah, this is... Yeah, this game is...
As you saw, the ride control button pickaxe made your footsteps completely silent to other players when you did run around with it, which obviously gave you a huge advantage. What made this so crazy back then was only a few pros knew about this secret, so they'd literally use it in cash cups to get some very easy eliminations. Similar to that overpowered pickaxe was the Codeaxe. This pickaxe had two massive advantages. The first one was its movement speed while swinging. That was clearly faster than any other pickaxe, and you'd beat them in a swing speed contest easily. And the second advantage was its swing reach. This again was clearly further than any other pickaxe, and if you're in a one-on-one pickaxe battle, you would win easily. But together, combining these two advantages made farming materials easy work, as you'd have the extra movement speed advantage while swinging, and you'd also have the extra swing range advantage too. Another secret that made easy work was the enhanced aim assist trick. This one clearly made aim assist like 200% times stronger on controller, and trust me when I said it was OP, it really was, because this got patched pretty quickly after. But to do this trick, all you'd have to do is trick your thumbstick on your controller to have constant stick drift by simply going into your controller settings, going down to where it says dead zone, then setting the dead zone between 5% and 8% depending on your controller. For PlayStation controllers, you want it around 8%, and for Xbox controllers, you want it around 5%. You'd then want to activate the dead zone by pulling slightly on the thumbstick. Back then, to know if you did it correctly, you'd have this like sort of constant pull / tug on your aim, and if that was the case, you would have 200% aim assist, which as you can imagine was very overpowered. What wasn't so overpowered but was still an interesting kept secret was pro players using a lowered frame rate to get a movement advantage. Now I'm not sure how much of a meme this was, but if you set your FPS to be locked at 30 FPS, your movement would somehow feel way more flexible, like it was if you had controller / double movement going on before that was even a thing. To showcase how much of a difference it made between 30 FPS and 200 FPS, you can see here that the movement on 30 FPS looks way more dynamic and sort of loose, whereas on 240 FPS it looks a lot more stiff. But you guys know if you played on both frame rates, everyone does prefer 240 FPS. Obviously, the actual difference between these two was very interesting, as even in things like box fights, the movement felt way more dynamic and more freely, like as if again you had double movement when in reality you didn't. So if you ever got beaten in a box fight and you had 240 FPS and the other person had 30 FPS, don't be embarrassed. You can see how they actually beat you because of this movement difference right here. I would not be embarrassed if I was you, but obviously this movement advantage right here turned out to be pretty useless in reality. Unlike the tape on keyboard trick advantage, as this at the time did look pretty useless, but it turned out to be meta changing, as by simply applying tape onto two keys, this was the very beginning / start of double movement in Fortnite. As back then, guys, you've got to remember there was no Wooten / keys to X input software that would give you double movement in literally one click. No, back then it was all manual, because as you guys know, it requires 3 separate key presses to get double movement. So what someone discovered is if you actually buy tape and then apply it to your keyboard, specifically on both the A plus caps lock keys and the D plus F keys, if you tape both them up and then you went into your keybinds and obviously set up all the keybinds properly, that process right there used to give you double movement before, again, software like Wooten or keys to X input ever existed. And this got very popular very quickly, as pros like Bugger would use it on stream, and it became massively popular after that. Like literally everyone was using it, and it all started from one guy on Reddit thinking, oh, why don't I just tape up some keys on my keyboard to get double movement? Like, it's so crazy how it all ended up being like this way, but now we have double movement in literally one click, and obviously controller players have it with ease as it's already on their controllers. What has nothing to do with controllers is weapon wraps, specifically the all black ones that Clicks and many other pros use to gain an advantage. If you also equip these on all of your weapons, you can benefit from being more focused, as you're not distracted by any animations, as you can see here with the comparison, while also benefiting from gaining more FPS, as these animated weapon wraps like the Magma one here can negatively affect your frame rate. Moving on though, we now have the final advantage that pro players kept secret, and this was standing gliders. You know, the gliders that you actually have to stand on and you're not just like holding on to handlebars or holding on to some sort of umbrella. No, we're talking about stand-up gliders like the Bombs Away glider or the Dragger Corn glider. Now these gliders in general are actually amazing still to this day. Like, I recommend everyone use them, because if you didn't know already, they give you much better visibility, as when you're standing on a glider you can see a lot more, you get a lot more visibility. Like, you can see floor loot, enemies a lot easier than you could using a normal glider, as you can see the gliders in themselves take up quite a lot of bulk, and with you just holding onto something, that like lessens your visibility of what you can see, such as floor loot and enemies. So using a stand-up glider is just better for visibility in general. But back in the day, everyone would use a stand-up glider, specifically the Dragacorn glider, for one reason, and that was its deployment animation. If we put up the deployment animation on screen, you can see that this is crazy, and when someone would deploy it, it would make it so if you were trying to eliminate said player that was deploying it, they would be pretty much impossible to hit because of that crazy animation. But after this sort of got popular, as everyone started using it for this specific deployment animation and the fact that you gain better visibility, they nerfed the Dragacorn glider, but it wasn't for the actual stand-up feature with the visibility, it was for the animation. That got changed, as you can see on screen right here. But that right there, guys, was 10 advantages that Fortnite Pro players kept secret.